There is a therapist, Beatrice Sparks, who said the words, I'm important, I'm somebody, I belong, I'm important, I am somebody. And that sounds like very ego-driven, the idea to say I am important and I am somebody. But every single one of us wants to be seen. So much so, in fact, that there's no greater emotional pain than not being seen. I worked once with a popular radio host show. A woman who, she was very popular, and, she said to me, she felt so lonely and like she didn't belong anywhere. And one would think that when you start to achieve, when you make it, when you get to management, when you're in leadership positions, that you would feel like you belong, because you do have that recognition, and yet so many people don't. And it's not just because the top is lonely. And there is that component that sometimes the top can be lonely, but it doesn't have to be. And it's not because you're a leader or because you are more famous than other people that it can feel lonely. And I wanted to explore, what is it about belonging that is so important for us, and what is it about not belonging that is so painful? And if it's such a common human experience, why do we still struggle with it so much? So at a physiological level, studies were done by University of Columbia along with other universities, where they found that brain scans showed that social rejection is as painful as being burnt or breaking your leg. And if you think about it, society recognizes, like if you break your leg or if you're burnt, society is, recognizes that you've been really hurt, and they give you time to heal. There's respect for the fact that you've been through a trauma. But when you are emotionally rejected, there isn't the same recognition that there is a scar, and you're expected just to pick up and continue as if nothing happened. And that's what they call courage. It's just like push through, push through, push through. Doesn't matter how you're feeling in the world, just push through. If you had a broken leg and you continue to walk on your broken leg, before it's time, you would do damage and you would delay the healing process. And it's not that different when it comes to our emotional and mental well-being. So if social rejection is as painful as physical rejection, how do we then handle that rejection so that we're more resilient in the face of it? Because rejection is a part of life. And some people seem to handle it better than others. And that's what I'm going to be speaking to you about this week. And one of the things, so I'd be interested to know from you, on a scale of 1 to 5, like how often have you felt like you don't belong, so much so that it's caused you pain because you felt like an outsider? And I know, having spoken to friends and spoken to clients, and also in my own story, is that you can have someone who has community and they don't feel like they belong. You can have someone who's doing really well and they feel like they don't belong. And you can have someone who is alone who doesn't have the same challenge. So what is it about this not belonging that makes it so almost like it's, it's so intangible? If you can be married and feel like you have no belonging, what are the things that you think creates belonging for you? So if you look into the areas in your life where you have felt belonging, what have those connections looked like or felt like? What have you been doing that has given you the experience of that belonging in that moment? And one of the things I want to leave you with today, and I'm going to continue more about this over this week, is what if your quest for belonging is a spiritual longing? What if your quest for belonging is a spiritual longing? And that's not to say that there aren't real world physical challenges we have that require us to belong. When we belong to a network, business is easier. People are more likely to refer us. We're more likely to be able to do well financially, for example. When we have friends and people who love us and care about us, we're more likely to feel safe and secure. So there's the physical reality, but then there is something else, because there are many people who have that. They have the friends and family, they have the financial security, and yet they still feel terribly, terribly alone, and they feel like this terror of not knowing where, of not having home, of not having something that they feel like, I'm at home now. And so what if that quest for belonging was really a spiritual longing? Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about the 5 or 6 hurtful things that you might be doing in your quest for belonging. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to come back to this topic of what is the difference between the sort of real world challenges that require belonging and what do we do about that? And then the spiritual longing that could be causing our hurt and our pain. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you tomorrow.